Perfect. So if we can just flip to the next slide really quickly, just to take care of one thing before we start. So this is just our code of conduct. This is for all of our participants today, just to kind of look over. We shouldn't have any issues on the webinar today, but this is just to make sure that everybody feels like they're in a safe and secure place. So just please be respectful to both the presenters and your fellow attendees. If you do cause any issues, please note that you will be removed from the webinar. But as I mentioned, that's typically not the case. We typically do not have problems with that, but please just be respectful of each other and we should not have any issues today. Next slide, please.
All right, thank you, Marisa, for that introduction, and welcome everybody to the Fall 2024 Open House for the Department of Bioengineering. We're going to talk both about the PhD program and the master program. Next slide, please. Just to give some introduction, our department chair, Abram Joy, who's not on the call right now. My name is Chiara Bellini. I'm an associate professor and also the associate chair for research and PhD program. I am the point of contact for the PhD programs, and then I will let Sam introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Sam Chung. I'm an associate professor as well, and I'm the contact for the master's program. So I'm a sort of a master's program advisor as well as the point of contact for administrative issues.
Thank you. Other important people in the department. Esther, who is on the call? You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, I'm Esther Cohen. I'm the senior business manager. I've been in the department for 5 years and at Northeastern for 12 years.
Great, thank you. Then Caroline Fredmore, our wonderful academic operation manager. She couldn't be joining us today, but also another good reference point to have within the department for graduate programs. And then Stephanie.
Hi, my name is Stephanie DeFranzo. I'm a graduate student ambassador, and I'm a third-year PhD student in Dr. Guohao Dai's lab.
Awesome, thank you. Next. All right, so Northeastern University is located in the heart of Boston. We're literally a walking distance from the Prudential Center, Newbury Street, and all the downtown area, but also within the Long Road medical area. So I have collaborators in the hospital, and so I can walk to Brigham and Women, Boston Children's, and MGH is also easily accessible. We live as a department in a great building. You can see some of it in my back right now. Although it looks like I'm in prison, it is not the case. It's a wonderful building with a spiral staircase. It's called Isaac Interdisciplinary Science and Engineering Complex. And I bet Stephanie can figure out where her desk is from that image. That area where all the glass is where the graduate student sits, and the lab are just next door. Next. Of course, we are in Boston, and so we can leverage the very rich pharma and biotechnology environment. There are so many biotech companies just across the bridge in the Cambridge, Somerville area. They go from startup level to above established multinational companies. I live in the burbs, so 20 miles from Boston, and the Moderna the Moderna factory is there, and so where you probably all know about from the COVID vaccine. So really rich area for pharma and biotechnology. Next. And of course, Northeastern has leveraged these ecosystem to become the #1 ranked university for internship and co-ops by the U.S. News Warden Report. So there are some numbers there about total co-op hires, employers, and there are 180 and counting employers for where our BioE students at all levels, undergraduate and graduate students, have have interned. Of course, this is possible because we have a wonderful office that helps with co-op placements, and on the right there are just a few of the companies where we placed our students. Okay, so now we are going to play a video, which is a brand new video to describe our department.
So let me just make sure it shares. I don't know. Hold
The
on.
sound.
No, not the sound. Oh. Well, I don't know what you're seeing. Are you seeing
Yep.
my screen? Okay. Skip. Okay.
We can't hear it.
This also isn't it. You can't hear it?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second. Stopping. Okay. Let me just get it the right one.
Because the video is so new, we have not updated the slides apparently.
But it should be there.
But I am really looking forward to see it because there are two of my former students that are spotlighted. So I am really excited.
So here it is. I just don't like, hopefully you can hear it through my computer, but I don't know.
Usually we're able to.
Okay,
Let's
let
try.
me just, hold on, I'm gonna, oh, there's an ad. Skip the ad. Hold on, let me pause it. And let me share my screen now. And let's see if you can hear it through this. Share. All right, do you see it?
See it?
Okay.
Yes. Hear it? No. Can you make sure that the audio is on on YouTube? Okay, this is not working. So let's put the link to the video in the chat, and we'll move forward.
Yes.
And perhaps come back to this at the end. Thank you, Esther.
Okay, let me get the PowerPoint up again.
Yep.
Okay, share. Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with the PhD program. Okay, next slide. So one of the characteristic traits of our PhD program is that we are going to be able to offer a rigorous core in basic engineering science, followed by a wide range of electives that are tailored to dissertation research. And that is leveraging the multidisciplinarity within our own department that allows you to combine engineering, medicine, and biology. Next. PhD requirements are different depending on what your final degree is before applying to the bioengineering PhD program. So if you come in with an undergrad degree, then you will be required to complete 32 credits of graduate level courses, which are 5,000 and above at Northeastern. And we split them into 3 bins or categories. There are core courses. That is 12 semester hours. In the College of Engineering, each course is 4 semester hours, so that turns out to be 3 classes. Principal Bioengineering, that's the qual prep class. So there is a qual examination, which is, as I'm sure you're aware, that exam that makes you go from a PhD student to a PhD candidate. And so that is the course that it helps students to prepare for their quals. And so how to, we teach you how to write a proposal, how to formulate specific aims and things like that. Then 2 foundational courses, one on the biophysio side, so medical physiology, and the other one on the engineering side, mathematical methods for bioengineering. Then There are two courses or 8 semester hours of restricted technical electives. Those will be linked to your research area, which I will talk about in a second. And then we have 12 semester hour of unrestricted electives. And so that is 3 courses that you can choose from a master list of courses that it is in our graduate handbook. If you come with a Master of Science or Master of Engineering, so those are the 2 master certification that we account in a relevant area, then you may be eligible for advanced entry. And at that point, your number of required credits goes from 32 to 16. The 2 core courses are Principal Bioengineering and Math Methods, and then there are 2 courses or 8 semester hours of technical electives. All our students are required to attend give seminars, or what we call work in progress updates on the 2nd and 4th year, and then take the dissertation courses with their advisor. Next slide. Okay, so as I mentioned, we are able to offer such a interdisciplinary range of courses because we have built consciously the Department of Engineering as a very interdisciplinary department over the past 10 years. We have just celebrated our 10th anniversary in January. We have organized our research in 4 research areas. Biomedical devices and bioimaging, biomechanics and mechanobiology, that's the one I'm part of, molecular cell and tissue engineering, system synthetic and computational bioengineering. Of course, we have acronyms for all this, which we will learn all about once you become a student. And so one important thing that I want to point out is that these are non-degree binding, meaning that your PhD degree will be in bioengineering. They serve for internal purposes to organize your coursework. And so this is the most up-to-date research map within our department with all the concentration, and you can see all the faculty that is actively working in research in these research areas. Next. Northeastern is a global campus, or the global universities. We have campuses all around North America and abroad. And the PhD program in bioengineering is leveraging the network, meaning that we do offer the PhD program at the Root Institute, which is located in Portland, Maine. It's a couple of hours from Boston. It's a beautiful location. They just broke the, ground on their new building, which used to be, fun fact, used to be a bean factory, and it's now directly on the ocean, overseeing the ocean. The research area at the Root, which we are formalizing right now, is different from the emphasis that we have in the Boston campus, and is focused on the use of artificial intelligence for healthcare and precision medicine. And it has that program has a very entrepreneurial flavor. So if those things attract you, then that's the place to be. So how can you make your application stand out to us? Over the past year, so in the 2024-2025 academic application cycle, we have received approximately 600 applications. We have admitted 50 students. So how can you make your application stand out so that you are one of those 50 students? There are 2 things that we look at: the personal statement and the reference letters. We obviously look at your entire package, but the CV, the personal statement, and the reference letter are really what strengthen your application. And so some suggestion here how to make your personal statement stand out. It is be specific, as specific as possible. So what topics are you interested in? Why are you interested in those topics? Where the interest come from? What is your growth path? And what labs are you interested at Northeastern? Remember that when we admit students, we need to place them in a lab. So if you help us telling us who you want to work with, that is the matchmaking is much easier on our side. And then, as usual, show, don't tell. Let us know what are you achieving in your accomplishment that make you a good candidate for a PhD program. For example, experiences in research, posters and conferences attendances and publications. And it's always useful to have some examples. So try to find somebody that has applied and successfully entered the PhD program before, and take a look at their personal statement. Reference letters. One of my mentors have always told me since I was a student, do not ask somebody if they can write you a reference letter. Ask them if they can write you a great reference letters. And that is absolutely important. A lukewarm letter of a person that doesn't really know you that much is actually going to hurt you in the end. So make sure that your letter writers know you and can point out why you are the perfect candidate for a PhD program. And so it's always nice to offer some help in designing these letters, and so provide them with bullet points of what your top accomplishment or a templates. This is particularly useful for students that are not in the American system, as I was before coming to the US. Make sure that you have examples of reference letters that are appropriate for a application to a US university. And there are some example in this QR code, so make sure to check them out, and of course get feedback. That's the best way to improve. All right, and I'm gonna pass it to Sam for the master program.
Thank you very much, Professor Bellini. So I'm Professor Chung. Been at Northeastern for I think 7 years at this point. And just going to talk a little bit about the master's degree program that we have here at Northeastern in Bio-E. Why pursue a master's degree? Similar to the PhD, but a little bit at a more fundamental level. You're trying to advance your career. One thing that's great, we mentioned the Boston area is a phenomenal place for biotech, bioengineering, biology, with the hospitals that we have in the area, the institutions, the academic institutions we have in the area. And so we're really tapping into that research network in academia and in industry. And I want to point out that I arrived here 22 years ago, 2002, and I've stayed in the area primarily for that reason. I also got married, so that helped me stay in the area. But my wife, she came in '99, and she's been around working in the hospitals in the area because it's just so great. And I like to tell my students that there's really three geographical areas in the United States that are really the best for biology, biotech, pharma, and that's Bay Area in California, maybe the DC area, and then the Boston area. And out of those three, Boston could be the very top of that. So we're leveraging that, as Professor Bellini mentioned, in helping people move forward in their career and make advancements. And so second point is to pioneer progress. So a lot of our students are actually directly involved in working for laboratories as well as projects within classes and in co-ops also. And then the last one I'll mention here is the MS to PhD program. We have a number of MS students who continue on to a PhD. It's definitely a great way to sort of test the waters, as we say in the United States. You see if you like research, and then you can, if you enjoy it, you can continue on and do a PhD. So my very first student was in fact a master's student. Joined my lab the very first week I was on campus pretty much, and then stayed for a PhD. Well, halfway through his master's, it was very clear that he was very talented and very interested in the PhD. So he stayed around for a PhD, completed the PhD after his master's, and then graduated about a year and a half ago, and has moved on to a really high-powered postdoc at Rockefeller University in New York. And now he's looking to go to become a faculty himself. So quite the whole transition from master's to PhD to postdoc, but that's one of the pathways that we offer here in our department. So next slide. MS degree requirements, in some ways similar to the PhD, 32 credits of graduate level courses, so approximately 8 courses. There are about 4 credit hours each, approximately. Minimum cumulative GPA of 3 out of 4. There are 2 core courses. Principles of Bio-E is like a survey course where professors come in and they will explain they'll talk about the research for about 20 minutes each. And you can get a feel for who they are. And maybe if you want to join their lab, you can reach out and talk with them. Medical physiology, the same medical physiology that Professor Bellini mentioned, sort of a core course giving you a broad survey into what are the mechanisms behind how the body works. And then within each concentration, and we have the same concentrations for the master's program as the PhD program. Within each one, there's 2 or 3 required courses for each concentration, and then there are unrestricted electives as well. The master's degree, there's 3 sort of general pathways for the degree. One of them is a coursework only option, where you just take classes to get your degree. Another one is the coursework plus a master's project, and the last one is a coursework plus a project and a thesis. So 2 semesters of research there, and we're going to describe that in the next couple slides. So the project, we've just recently revamped how the project and thesis work. The project, what you do have to do this, to show some independence here, you have to go find a project advisor, generally on your own time. And a great way to do this is to be in that Principles of Bioengineering course, and then as professors come in and talk about their research. If it piques your interest, you can chat with them and send them an email, maybe make an appointment to connect with them or their students to see if a project might be the right fit for you. And the project is really, it's a very personal thing between you and your advisor. And so each one's going to look a little bit differently, and you have to build that up with your advisor using their feedback to design a plan for you to get through that. The project you'll complete in 1 semester. There's a formal course that you're going to register for. That's 4 credits. And then at the end, you're going to write a project report, and that will be submitted to your advisor for their sign-off, for their approval. And then on the next slide, we talk about the project. The way it's organized right now is that your first semester will be the project. And if you enjoy doing that, if you want to continue moving forward doing that, you can register for the next course, which is a thesis for the 2nd semester. And so this is similar in the sense that you have to find a thesis advisor, and usually it'll be the same advisor as your project advisor. And this is going to be the thesis is the 2nd semester of research with the same group. And this is a little bit more formal because at the end you will write a thesis, and then that's submitted to a committee that you and your advisor will put together for their approval. And you have to defend this thesis in a public forum, usually a talk that's about anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour long in front of your committee and generally an audience as well. So I strongly recommend this. This is a great way for you to get deeper into the science in a way that isn't possible just in your classes. You'll get a feel for how research works, and generally it's very interesting, very frontier level work that you'll be doing there directly with the lab in our department. So next slide. Yeah, a few comments from our alumni. The first one highlights the flexibility of our program. So I want to emphasize that the master's program is not an undergrad program. So there's considerably more flexibility for the master's program for you to study topics that you're interested in doing, as long as the program overall is rigorous and fulfills the requirements. So there's some flexibility in what you want to, what you can study here for your degree, and it's not necessarily exactly limited to those 4 areas. You can sample courses between areas if it's relevant for your overall educational program. Second comment is about accessibility of the program and about the research position. And so, yeah, we have a lot of master's students are able to join any lab. both from the core faculty as well as our affiliated faculty as well. So you have a very broad network you can pick from, and it's a great way to get your feet wet. And the last one, research activities and weekly seminars. So there's a lot of opportunities for students to engage in research, but also to sample from our weekly seminars that we bring in faculty from other institutions to give talks on their research. Usually it's very cutting edge. And then students will also, PhD students will also present their research, I think, every other year at these events called the Works in Progress. And so it's like what have they done in the last 2 years? And that's a great way to learn about other students and other professors' research as well.
Sorry, can I just mention something about the master's program? So on the idea of flexibility, the master's program, it's 8 courses, but you can, if you are a domestic student, you could take all 8 courses in 2 semesters. So you could take 4 in the fall, 4 in the spring. It's basically an accelerated master's program. Also, if you're a part-time student, we do have online courses. What else do we have? Like, you can be flexible in your timeline, basically. For international students, there's a little bit more protocol with being a full-time student, but there's also some flexibility in your timeline as well. So just know it doesn't have to be a 2-year master's. You can get this done in a year and a half, and you can opt in for a co-op or choose not to do a co-op and do more accelerated. And Sam, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so some of our master's students also work part-time as well, and there's some flexibility regarding online courses and scheduling too. So yeah.
Okay.
So just to introduce who the graduate student ambassadors are, we're a group of master's and PhD students in the College of Engineering who are here to be sort of a familiar face and here to provide answers to questions and concerns that you might have about all the different programs that the COE offers, as well as what to expect in your new city, in the new campus that you're going to, how to find housing, how to find different clubs, etc. And we're kind of sitting here behind the scenes, running an email account, which is coeambassadors@northeastern.edu. And we have a lot of WhatsApp groups and a lot of ways to get in contact with the ambassadors who can help. Next slide, please. So there are a few things that we can and we cannot assist with. So if you're looking for department and program specific questions, questions on the student experience and the student perspective, coursework, relocating to Boston or whatever campus you're looking to go to, and how to take advantage of your time at Northeastern, we can definitely help with all those questions and concerns. What we can't help with are questions about application eligibility, admissions decisions or status. For those, you'd have to reach out to the admissions team. And we also can't help with troubleshooting course registration, international student processing, I-20 or visa, and also IT issues. We can't help with those. So we have a lot of opportunities to get in touch with the ambassadors. There's a website, there's Instagram, a LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp groups that will all be on the ambassadors website. And we participate in many webinars and events, including this one. And yeah, like I said, so this email is actually a bit old. We have a new email through northeastern.edu, but yeah, you can reach us at a lot of places, and we have students answering many questions in different places.
Thanks, Stephanie.
There's also a
You
bunch of
put the email address in the chat after the new
oh
email
yes,
address.
definitely can. At Northeastern, there's a lot of different engineering student clubs to get involved with. One that I particularly have been involved with is GWISE, which is Graduate Women in Science and Engineering. But all of these groups hold a lot of different events on campus that are accessible to all graduate students, and they have a lot of good and informative events. Some more familiar faces that you can reach out to and look to for guidance are on the Bioengineering Graduate Student Council. So this is a group of PhD students and master's students who have been selected to be on this student council. And they sort of organize a lot of events specifically for students. And yeah, they put on great events. There's a lot of free food and fun things to do. So they're also another group of students that you can reach out to with any questions or concerns you might have. And this is just, we have a lot of different social media. The BioE department specifically has a lot of different accounts that you can look at for really cool content. And so does the graduate student ambassadors. We have a LinkedIn account, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So
Great. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I know the students really like hearing your perspective, so I appreciate you giving all of that good information. So for those of you who may be attending today, I know many of you are prospective students who may not have started your application, but for those of you who are admitted, I first want to extend a warm congratulations on your acceptance. You'll be receiving this via email, but this is sort of your roadmap that you want to consider before you come to the university. So it starts with your admit as your first step. And you can see up there at the top that one of your very first steps is to contact with your graduate ambassador. And lucky for you today, you already know who your ambassador is because she was just speaking to you a couple minutes ago. So this will take you through some of the things that you'll have to do, such as paying your enrollment deposit, which really starts all of the processes that you have to do prior to coming. You won't be able to apply for your I-20 or set up your Northeastern account if you do not submit your $100 deposit. And then other things you can start doing after that is starting to look at your university health report. If you're an international student applying for your I-20, you can also start searching for your apartments and start looking for roommates. It's never too early to start with that, particularly for those of you who may be admitted in the fall. September is a really busy time for move-ins and move-outs. So often if you can start early, that is a little bit more beneficial. For those of you who are admitted in the spring, there's not quite a rush, but I would start looking earlier if you can. Once you are able to, we will send you out information on what courses to register for, how to register for, and sort of what you should be doing for registration. That will come to you via email, either from the admissions department or from student services. So please don't feel like you have to be out there alone trying to figure out what courses you have to register for. We will send you that information directly. And then closer to the start of the term, you'll be receiving information for orientation, how to register for classes, how to pay for your course registration, and just different things you have to do to prepare. And then also how to submit your transcripts and your final documents. But all of that will be available for you via email. And we also have a really nice page set by our student services team who will help you. They will help you, figure out what you have to do. And that page is set by student services. Next slide, please. So if you're a prospective student, you have to submit your application. Our application is totally online. For those of you who are applying for spring, you still have about a week left. We're still very happy to help you and accept your applications. So if you have questions, please let us know. If you're a domestic student applying for spring, you have until December 1st, so you still have plenty of time. For fall applications, if you are a PhD applicant, it is very important that you apply by December 1. So faculty have all the time they need to review your application, find funding for you, and just match you to the appropriate faculty. For an MS student, you can see you have a number of different deadlines, but we do encourage you to apply by our priority deadline so that you are able to get reviewed faster and get that decision faster. But please do not worry, you do have until June 1 if you're international or August 1 if you are a domestic student. Next slide, please. So our admissions requirements are pretty standard. They probably look like the admissions requirements of many of the other schools that you may be applying to. For those of you who have not yet applied, we are offering an application fee waiver for students who have not yet submitted applications just for being here today. The directions will be on the next page. We do require 2 letters of recommendation, unofficial transcripts, a statement of purpose, a resume, and an English language proficiency for most of our international students, and the GRE is not required. Next slide, please. So this is our application fee waiver. It does have to be put in exactly as it appears. You will have to make sure that it is case and spelling sensitive. So if it doesn't, you'll be getting an error code that will come up and say that this is not a valid code and you will be billed if you proceed with the code, if you are getting that error. Unfortunately, we cannot add fee waivers after applications have been submitted. So if you do get the error, just make sure that you are either reaching out to us for assistance or you're going back and copying and pasting the correct fee waiver code. Other important information on our fee waiver code is that it does not go on the application payment page. There is an application information tab. You'll know that you're on this page if you are seeing the yes, no questions. There's a question that's asking you if you have an application fee waiver. All you have to do is select yes, and a box will appear and you just insert the code. But if you do get an error, it is because you are not spelling it or capitalizing it correctly. So just make sure that it is exactly how it appears on this page. And if you need to take a screenshot, I would definitely encourage you to do that. Or you can always feel free to reach out to admissions if you have questions about how to apply it. Next slide, please. And then finally, we do encourage you to keep in touch with us. COE has a very robust FAQ page. So if you have questions, you can usually find those there, but you are more than welcome to reach out to the COE admissions team directly. You can also find our application on that page as well. Like Stephanie said, you are more than welcome to reach out to the student ambassadors, but please, if you do have admissions related questions, we would prefer that you reach out directly to the admissions office because our student ambassadors are students just like themselves, like yourselves, and they often won't be able to answer those hard-hitting questions. So it's more appropriate to meet with a staff member. And then of course, we have your program faculty listed on there as well. Dr. Chung and Dr. Bolini's contact information is on that page as well. And we do encourage you to reach out with any questions. And I know many of you are asking questions in the chat, but I believe this is the end of the presentation. So if there are any other questions, we are more than welcome. You're more than welcome to submit them. And we are happy to take those questions from you. And thank you to Stephanie and Dr. Bolini for answering a lot of these questions in the chat. That's very, very appreciated.
I'm also going to put in the chat, this is the PDF of how to get through the master's program in 1 year. So anyways,
Thank you.
our online course selection. Yeah.
You guys are quiet.
That's a great question. So what is the average GPA for students who have gotten admitted? I don't know if the faculty have that answer, but I'm happy to look into that for you. I think in general, we say, you know, students usually have at least a 3.2 or higher. I would say probably even higher than that, but that's definitely something I'm happy to look into that for you.
It's a very organic review process, also depending on which concentration you want to go into. So if you want to go more into the devices, we look at math. If you want to go into cell and tissue, math may not necessarily be a factor, also depending what school you come from. So there's lots of different areas of the application that we look at. And then also your resume, your work experience, your letters of recommendation. So it's a very organic review.
Any other questions? We have about 2 minutes left. So while you have live faculty in front of you, please feel free to ask any last minute questions.
So on the application, you'll apply to a concentration.
Well, it depends. Is that for master or PhD?
For masters. Yeah, for masters. Sorry.
Yeah, so this is maybe something that we should bring up. So the concentration is degree binding for master's program, which means that on your degree, you will have the name of the concentration that you have worked towards. For PhD, it's not going to be like that. But I believe you won't have to pay for each single application that you put in. You could potentially apply to different ones. And if that was specific for the PhD, something that you can absolutely do is in your personal statement, say like these, I'm interested in this research area and this research area, and that's why. So it's a less formalized process for the PhD than the master. For medical images, we do have the biodevices and biomedical imaging concentration. So that's definitely the research area or concentration that I would apply to.
So the question about the application fee waiver, like I mentioned in the presentation, just for coming today, you do get an application fee waiver. So that was Apply COE 2025. It'll also be in the recording that we're going to send out to you as well. So if you missed it for any reason, it'll be in the recording. But that is only for new applications. So unfortunately, if you've already applied, you wouldn't be able to apply that fee waiver to your application. And for PhD students, yes, I believe all PhD students are fully funded. MS students, unfortunately, I did see a question about scholarships. We don't have scholarships for MS students. Most of our MS students are unfortunately self-funded. So it's family fee or family funds, loans, and things like that. So unfortunately, our MS students are not fully funded. I think, so it's Apply COE 2025. So I will put the fee waiver in the application or in the chat. So it is very important that you put it in exactly as it appears, or else you will be getting an error for that.
And then there is one question about where online can we find information about current labs and ongoing research. So if you go on the bioengineering Northeastern University Bioengineering Department webpage, which is easily findable on a Google search online, and Esther, thank you. Just put the link in the chat. You can search for faculty, and most of our faculty have personal websites. So you can find all the information that you need there. And I would say, especially for PhD applications, if you're interested in a lab and you want to reach out to a faculty member, please go and read some of their most recent scientific publications. Those, again, you can easily find online, and that is a good way to start a conversation.
I think that is it for questions. So again, I just want to thank Dr. Chung, Dr. Bellini, Stephanie, and Esther for taking the time out of their busy schedules, because this is the beginning of the semester. So it's very, very hectic for everybody all around. So thank you so much for joining today to speak to our prospective students. I really appreciate it. And for our prospective students, thank you for joining us as well. I know many of you are around the world. This is not a convenient time for you, so I appreciate you hopping on and joining us today. As I mentioned, I'll be sending out the recording of this presentation. So if you have any other questions, please do feel free to write to us. We're happy to answer you. And thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.